What do you say, chat? Do we get a move on this shenanigans? Because I have thoughts. I may take a little bit of time getting to those thoughts, but I do have thoughts on the Destiny 2 end of life announcement. Surprise, surprise, to all of you. I'm gonna look in the camera. Listen to me. For those who don't know, I may be new as a marathon yapper Twitter guy. I feel weird calling myself a content creator. That feels very weird for me to say, because I don't really post a lot of content. I just kind of yap, and then people think that I have good opinions sometimes. Not always great, not always perfect, but people seem to like me for some reason. You guys are great. I love you all very much. But my history with Bungie starts with Halo Reach. I had always been interested in Halo as a kid. I have always wanted Halo as a kid. And I followed it for a very long time, but due to life circumstances, I couldn't get an Xbox 360 till about, I want to say 2011. I played Halo Reach. I played all of the Halo games by Bungie. Loved all of them. I was hyperfixated on that stuff, right? Destiny was announced. 2014 rolls around. A little open beta starts, and August of 2014, I lost myself. And I say this in a good way. I delved into Destiny. In August 2014, I was about 15 years old, so I was heading into my sophomore year of high school. I was still, stupid kid, right? I fell in love with Destiny, and with this summer job that I had, that was the money that I got this check, and I used that money to pre-order Destiny 1 for the Xbox 360. Destiny was my first ever, what you could consider an MMO. I don't come from a World of Warcraft background. I don't come from a RuneScape background. I don't come from any MMO background other than Destiny. Destiny was my first MMO, and I use quotation marks with that. It was my first real, massive online experience. I fell in love with it right away. I remember choosing Titan in the open beta, and I never went back. And for 12 years, I believe 12 years, I have been a dedicated Titan main. I have played every single content release of Destiny. I remember the original Queen's Wrath event. I remember Dark Below. I played that on... Remember the Lizard Squad? Remember that? Those fucking, DDoSers or whatever back in, 2014? Where they brought both, the Xbox servers down or whatever. I remember playing on Christmas Day, the Dark Below on Christmas Day, while the servers were supposedly offline. I played every single update. I played House of Wolves. I played Taken King. I played the April update. I played Rise of Iron. All the way through, and I mean this sincerely, every single major update, expansion, launch for Destiny. The only release I didn't play was the Destiny 1 Alpha. Never played the Destiny 1 Alpha. I didn't have PS3, and I wasn't as familiar with it back when the Alpha was a thing. Destiny has been my home for a very, very long time, and up until about a little bit before Into the Light, I think that's what the name of that update was, the one that came out before Final Shape, I fell off a bit. I played all of Final Shape. I played through the campaign. I unlocked most of the, most if not all of the Prismatic subclass on Titan. I put my time into it. I played dual Destiny, but I didn't do Salvation's Edge until about, I think, this past December. I just didn't, I fell off of it due to a variety of reasons, personal, and just, I wasn't satisfied with the game at the time because of all the news with, the layoffs and stuff, and I played Edge of Fate. I played through the story of that, and while the gameplay experience wasn't great, I enjoyed the story. I thought it was cool. Renegades I thought was fun. The story I thought was cool, but it's Star Wars, But I thought it had a lot of heart. There's people who are like, oh, it's a cash grab, and you may be right, but it was a damn good one. And I fell off of it. I've switched to Marathon. That's what I'm known for. I'm apparently the Marathon Twitter guy. So this hits close to home for me. I hope that my perspective maybe can, I don't know. There's a lot of doom and gloom. I'm kind of rambling at this point. But basically, Destiny and Bungie have been, one of my favorite studios like since I was a kid, since I was 15, or even younger than that. I'd always shown interest in Bungie games. So this news, and we're going to get into it right now, we're going to read starting right here. The official Destiny the Game Twitter posted an update today, because we haven't had a Destiny 2 update for a while. Each of the Twids have been kind of, light, community focused. We've been waiting for news because we thought that we were getting, the Shattered Cycle and then the Alchemist, which were two announced expansions after we had saw the reveal for Edge of Fate and Renegades. This is the news that we had now, because we were getting the Shadow and Order update, but that was delayed. Marathon came out. I've been loving Marathon. And, it's frustrated me, of course, but I adore this game. I adore Marathon very much. I'm not gonna shy away or pretend otherwise. But there's been a lot of debate and discourse surrounding Marathon. Some that is warranted, some that I think is unwarranted. For almost 12 years, we have had the joy and honor to explore the Destiny universe with you all. Through all the ups and downs, surprises and triumphs, building Destiny alongside our players has been a monumental privilege. While our love for Destiny 2 has not changed, it has become clear that after the final shape, we have reached the time for our shared worlds and Destiny to live beyond Destiny 2. As our focus turns towards a new beginning for Bungie, we will begin work incubating our next games. To that end, on June 9th, 2026, we will release the final live service content update for Destiny 2 to begin that new journey as a studio. Though active development may be concluding, we will ensure that Destiny 2 remains playable, just as the original Destiny is today. Many changes in this final update will aim to ensure that Destiny 2 is a welcoming place for players to return to. We're proud of Destiny 2, the places it took us, and the legacy it has created. Because of you all, our universe is vast, built on years of shared stories, adventures, and victories. From the Cosmodrome to the Pale Heart to the Lawless Frontier, we have forged lifelong memories and friendships with you all. We are incredibly grateful to everyone who made that journey with us. From the deepest part of our hearts, thank you, and we'll see you in the stars. And this is the part that we just read. Destiny 2, Monument of Triumph. This is from the Destiny 2 dev team. Since Destiny 2 launched, Guardians have turned back the darkness, defeated gods, shattered blades, banished nightmares, outplayed Savathun at chess, and forged legendary stories across the Sol system. On June 9th, Destiny 2, Monument of Triumph will be available to all players. We are inviting all Guardians to take part in a celebration of these accomplishments. Legends, Dredgens, Renegades, Conquerors, New Lights, and everyone in between. Each year since launch, Moments of Triumph celebrated highlights from Destiny 2's most recent chapter. This time, the Monument of Triumph update will broaden that celebration, bringing together experiences from across Destiny 2. Legendary marks return from ages of Triumph past. Earned by completing a game-wide array of triumphs, they will grant access to a vast selection of free armor ornaments, accessories, weapon engrams, and more. An additional title and armor ornament set awaits those who range widely in their deeds, immortalizing your legacy in Destiny 2. But this update has much more to offer than the monument itself. So before we continue reading, this is very important. This is one of the points that I actually want to talk about here. Destiny 2 has gone on for a very long time. People are dooming and glooming. I think people are like, oh, the IP is dead, da-da-da-da-da, oh, I'm worried about the future of the studio. And while I agree that there is a lot to be concerned about with the studio, I'm worried about layoffs, I'm worried about performance, it's stuff like that. That's very important to care about. I think people lose sight of the fact that human hands made these experiences. The developers, the people who make the game, are not the same people as the ones that put Bungie in this position in the first place. Any ire, any frustration, any anger, I suppose, if you want to put it in a more intense way. I feel that's a pretty strong way, but you know what I mean. You want to look at leadership for that. Keep this in mind, and I think this is a conversational point that a lot of people miss. Destiny, Bungie as a whole, Marathon is not the reason for it's not the sole reason, right? It's not the sole reason that Destiny is in the state that it's in. It is definitely a factor, but the reason why is more important than just looking at Marathon go, Marathon killed my game. Marathon did this. Marathon did that. Marathon was in development before Sony had acquired the studio. Sony had acquired Bungie under, what was it, like 3.7 billion, something along those lines. So Sony overpaid for the studio. Not only that, leadership at the time, they moved essential resources from Destiny over to Marathon, and they didn't fill the gaps. They did not replace the holes that were made to work on Marathon. That is not Marathon's fault. That is a sole failure of the previous leadership. The current leadership now, who is probably more integrated with Sony, was a, guy who was working on the game. I know that it was the guy who did the, what was it? There was that GDC conference that he did about, like, not over-deliver. I forget the exact quote, but it got a lot of ire from the community, and, rightfully so, I suppose. It was something about over-delivery. It was something about over-delivery. And people gave a lot of shit for that, right? Understandably so, reasonably so. But he, in his post when he announced that he was stepping up after Pete Parsons was probably kicked to the curb, but had to politely step aside, said that they were leaving politely, but I bet you dollars for donuts he was probably booted. It was either you do it in good faith or you're out the curb, He had, the new leader had basically taken a jab at that previous statement, so, Can't believe the Zeekster personally fired all of Destiny's developers. No one has seen Pete Parsons since he was fired. I think Sony killed him. Don't quote me on that. Quick, quote Gizas on it right now, quick. No, so he took over. You have to understand, new leadership, Jonesy, stop. My cat's being a goober. New leadership isn't just going to be immune from the consequences and the ramifications of previous decision-making. They are still dealing with the outcomes and those consequences from Pete Parsons not taking a pay cut, firing hundreds of Bungie employees, and boosting up his fucking car collection, okay? So they're still dealing with the ramifications and consequences of the layoffs that had happened, the multiple layoffs. There was layoffs before Final Shape, and then there was layoffs after Final Shape. That is not the developer's fault. That is solely in the hands of the leadership that failed, because they chose avarice and greed over investing into their employees, the people that actually make the art, which is the game. And yes, video games are art. I'm not debating anybody about it. It shouldn't be a hot take to say this. But I know somebody out there is going to be like, video games are not art, but like, you're dumb and not worth talking to at all in any day-to-day. So they failed to fill the gaps. Pete Parsons, kicked to the curb. New leadership still has to pick up the pieces. They are not, and it's different now too. We don't know the inner dynamics the same way of Bungie as it used to be. I'm sure a certain journalist probably does. I don't know. I'm not a journalist. I'm a guy. I'm just a 27-year-old dipshit who likes to yap on Twitter about Marathon and Destiny and Bungie and whatever else comes to mind, okay? I'm just a guy. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know everything. And I don't. And I hope to be fucking called out if I ever make claims where I know this, I know that. Anyway, I digress. My point is, Destiny 2, and I said this back around December or January, that I think Destiny 2 was very long in the tooth. There's a lot of technical debt, there's a lot of... You try to fix one thing and it breaks a bajillion others just because of how, I'm sure, the engine overhauls were, all of the old code to update and update and update. Destiny 2 was not meant to go on as long as it has. It is a fucking miracle that they were able, through spit, duct tape, and a dream, to keep Destiny 2 on as long as it has been, right? So, what is the point? I'm rambling. I'm making multiple points here. My point is, people are vastly not recognizing that the developers are not responsible for what has happened to Destiny 2. It is a failure of leadership. It is a failure of filling in those roles, rehiring people, laying people off in the first place. It's just choosing profit over investing in the people that actually make you your money is fucking insane to me. It is a failure of the system that we live in. Oh, don't get political. Everything's political. You just haven't seen it yet. Anyway, so it is a failure of the systems that we live under. Capitalism. We live in a capitalist society. I would say a late stage capitalist society. And there are ramifications for that. There are consequences for that. So with Destiny 2 not getting the holes plugged in and getting the help that it needs, obviously those important resources went over to their new game, which I will tell you, Marathon, I bet you dollars to donuts, is easier to update, it's easier to work with, the engine upgrades will probably make it flow better for whatever the developers do. I'm not a developer, I'm just the guy. So and plus it's one game mode. One. Destiny 2 has PvE, it has PvP, it has PvEVP, it has raids, it has strikes, it has dungeons, it has, you fucking name it, fucking racing, for crying out loud. They're bringing back Sparrow Racing League. Spoiler for later. Destiny 2 is you can be any type of player you want to be. Marathon is very niche. It is very funneled. I'm not sitting here pretending that Marathon is like this great hit, or that it should be or that it is going to be this great hit. I think it will bring in more people over time, but I don't know if I don't know. I don't really care. Like, I'm having fun with the game. It is what it is. I care about the survivability of the studio. I care about the talent, and I'm open and interested to see how they expand over time with PvE, with I would like to see like an arena deathmatch mode or something like that. I would like to see how Marathon moves as a service game with more stuff to do. Ponderosa Art says, super cool that Marathon is going to integrate PvE soon as well for more play. Exactly. No, 100%. I think that's going to be really cool, but you got to keep in mind, people are constantly comparing Marathon to Destiny as if they're the same games. Marathon and Destiny share obviously very similar DNA. They're made by Bungie. They're Bungie shooters. They fucking feel incredible. They are some of the best feeling shooters in the history of FPS shooters. It is not even like an exaggeration. But they could not be more different than each other in terms of design philosophy, world philosophy, the juicy, buttery, flaky crust, juicy, buttery gameplay, crispy, buttery, flaky crust, They have so different design philosophies, where Destiny, you're a hero, you're, this badass, god-slaying, reality-bending warrior who's undead, who uses the powers of both concepts such as light and darkness, which are not a real thing, but tend to distort and destroy reality as you break reality with your own existence. Whereas in Marathon, you are a spec, you are a intruder, you are a tiny, insignificant little thing that can cause mayhem and destruction, but are immediately able to be destroyed in an instant. You are to be obliterated and annihilated, and you are nothing. You live in a world that is brutal, in a world that will kill you, it will kill you. You will die. There is very similar design philosophy with roguelikes, with Souls-likes, with games of like an old, like an unforgiving nature that really isn't as it's come back a bit more, but it's not, it harkens back to an older era of difficulty that just isn't as prominent anymore. I know there's gonna be somebody who's like, oh, Marathon's a Souls-like. No, it's not. There's some similar design philosophies there, but it's not a Souls-like. It just isn't. Marathon is the Dark Souls of Destiny. You're right. You know what? You got me. Fuck, Ponderosa beat me to the goddamn punch. Like, we're fucking in sync. Marathon is the Dark Souls of Bungie. Yep. Fucking on cue. As I say it, Ponderosa types that in chat. Phenomenal. We're on the same fucking wavelength. So what am I rambling about? Twitter is Marisouls is the Thon Dark of Bongo. Okay, you're right, Guy. Fuck. It's genius. Why didn't I think of that? So what is this autistic dipshit trying to get across? People are dooming and glooming. It's frustrating because people have been constantly for years, myself included, have been asking for a Destiny 3. I've been wanting a Destiny 3. The reason I'm not as invested in Destiny anymore, due to other personal stuff, and I've come back because now I have like a group of people to play with and blah, 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 blah. The reason that I'm not as invested in Destiny is because I don't care about the loot that I'm chasing. I feel like I'm chasing an upgrade of a gun that I previously got, and the upgrade is only marginally better than the other version of the gun that I got 2 years ago. There is so much loot bloat in Destiny. In Destiny 2 specifically, let me clarify. There's so much loot bloat of Destiny 2 of different weapons from previous weapon systems and previous sandbox systems that clash with each other and have just... It makes future loot drops meaningless to me. Tier 5s, it has a shiny, like, holographic look. Okay. Do I really give a shit about its perks, though? Not really. Oh, it has this this perk combination instead of this. Okay. Am I supposed to care? No. I have for a few years, like, honestly, I would even say Witch Queen, I have wanted a full hard reset, which is very unpopular because they tried doing sunsetting and they fucked it up. They fucked up sunsetting because they out-level, like they kept giving me exotic. I'll get to that in a minute. I have my thoughts on the whole exotic situation. Basically, though, they didn't replace the gear that they took, and a lot of people got mad, so understandably, Bungie had to fix it by just giving everybody their stuff back again. They undid sunsetting. They're like, here you go. And that's because they messed up the implementation, right? So, what am I talking about? So, basically, I have just wanted a full, fresh restart. I want everybody to be on the same playing field. I want everybody to be, you know, it's a new start for all of us. It's a new era, you know? Like, that's what I want. We haven't gotten that. And how do we get that? We get that with a Destiny 3. But do you know what a Destiny 3 means? It means ending development for Destiny 2. Why would I want this game to continue dragging on unless we get a full reset, which is not happening in Destiny 2? Let me specify. It is not happening in Destiny 2. We're not getting a full reset in Destiny 2. Why would I continue to want to play Destiny 2 with chasing weapons that I don't care about for years and years and years with a declining player base years and years and years over time? The decline, like, Lightfall had, like, the biggest numbers for an expansion at the time, right? But those numbers dwindled. Those numbers dwindled pretty quickly. You know? Destiny 2 has been struggling for a few years. It has. Destiny, this whole end-of-life stuff, like, it still hurts, of course. You know, it causes you to want to grieve. There's a lot of memories with Destiny 2, right? But here's the thing about Destiny. If you end development on Destiny 2, which I'm sure is probably a lot easier for the developers, they can potentially start work on something new. I'm not saying that Marathon is a replacement for Destiny. It's not. It never has been. It never will be. But there are some leadership problems and failures to replace the talent that was put onto Marathon from Destiny to fill up the holes in Destiny 2's development. I don't think that that's a radical thing to point out, right? Obviously, Marathon is not the hit that Bungie wants it to be. Okay, all right. I'm a game guy. I'm just a guy who plays video games. I'm not an investor. I'm not investing in the Marathon as like a financial project. I'm investing in the Marathon because it's a cool ass fucking video game. Rockstar is projecting $8 billion for FY27. The industry is oh, dude, the gaming industry is beyond cooked. It's games are too expensive to make. The bloat is insane, and the return on investment, like, expectations are incredibly high and extremely unrealistic. Dead Space Remake sold well. Dead Space Remake sold well, but not to EA's extreme expectations. Do you know how angry that makes me? It sold comparatively to, like, Resident Evil titles. It sold well. And because it didn't reach EA's, like, live service expectations, a fucking single-player game, by the way, they're not making a Dead Space 2 remake. Fuck Dead Space 4. I want a Dead Space 2 remake, man. How are we going to get a Dead Space 2 remake? Or, excuse me, how are we going to get a Dead Space 4? Dead Space 3 was already, like, middling at best. The industry as a whole is beyond fucked. And it's not Bungie's fault that they decided, hey, this is probably the best course of action. Do you want a Destiny 3 or not? So if you want a Destiny 3, why continue development for Destiny 2? And I was saying this back in December or January. I forget which. It was before Marathon came out, right? It was when we had run. It was before we had run Salvation's Edge for my first time. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I have been saying that, like, they needed to do an Age of Triumph 2.0. We're getting that. They needed to wind down development, put that onto Destiny 3 or whatever the fuck they're going to do next. Whether it's a spiritual successor or whatever, you know. Why put them in the eternal Destiny 2 mines? Why? You're just going to be underwhelmed and frustrated. And you're going to see the player base dwindle further and further, especially after the culmination that was Final Shape. People were leaving. People left after Final Shape. They got their 10 years. They finished that storyline. They fucked off. They want something new. They would come back with Destiny 3. Should they have announced this back with Final Shape? Yeah, sure. But now we're just reheating old fucking leftovers that we had in the microwave 2 days ago. This take isn't, like, radical or new. We've been saying this. We've been saying this forever, and that's not the reality that we live in. They didn't. Oh, they should have done this. Well, they didn't. They didn't do it then. They're doing it now. Should they have done it earlier? Sure. They even say it themselves. They literally say it in this post right here. While our love for Destiny 2 has not changed, it has become clear that after the Final Shape, we have reached the time for our shared worlds and Destiny to live beyond Destiny 2. They even say it. They acknowledged it. They didn't do it when they should have. They acknowledged that, you know? And this isn't me trying to play like defense for $1 billion company. They're $1 billion company. Okay. Their financial decisions are this to make a loan. I'm just a guy. The point that I'm trying to make is coming at this from, like, why are we reheating leftovers of an opinion and then, like, acting like, oh, this should have been reality. Well, it's not. That isn't the reality that we live in. It just isn't. That isn't the world that we live in. We have to, okay, what do we do next? How do we address this now? Instead of looking back at the past, instead of being like, I'm not saying that looking back at the past isn't, like, a good thing to necessarily do. Of course, you got to be able to learn from your mistakes, right? They acknowledge that here. So my understanding, my interpretation of this is that maybe they're acknowledging that. Like, okay, we should have ended it there. Okay, we didn't. Here we go now. We're sorry. Hopefully we can do better. Hopefully we can do better. Be better, you know? Fuck. So, at the end of the day, I'm rambling. I'm talking about this. At the end of the day, I want two cakes. I'm going to continue reading this, but I want to take an interlude. This is my thoughts right here. I made this tweet, and I'll read it here for you. Quote, I've been saying since about December or January that Destiny 2 needed to wind down, send it off with an Age of Triumph 2.0, and focus on building a fresh start for Destiny and do other new stuff. Today's news has me feeling like a weight was lifted off of my shoulders. I recognize there's a lot of doom and gloom and that my perspective is a lot more on the hopeful side, but I'm personally happy to see Destiny 2 have a send-off. It had an excellent run, had its ups and downs, especially lately, but instead of dragging it further, they're putting out a really great end-of-life update. I'm ready for what comes next for Destiny, and I'm ready for Marathon Season 2. 2 cakes. Now, what does this mean? This means that I believe, and that I hope, that Destiny 3 is going to be announced not soon TM, relatively soon, in the sense of maybe within a couple years, maybe a year or two. Who knows? Could be sooner than that. I don't know. Should they have announced this sooner? Yeah, sure. But they didn't. They didn't do that. I've been saying for a while that I will be invested again when they do a Destiny 3. I want a completely fresh start. I want a reason to hop back in. I had the 10-year saga story close. Let's see what they do next. Edge of Fate, Renegades, as cool as the story ideas were, I don't think Destiny 2 was the right mechanism to tell those stories. I think that they should continue that storyline in Destiny 3, but I don't think that Destiny 2 was the right carrier of that. Gizot says, if it's not announced on 6/2, which is Sony's State of Play, for those who don't know, it'll be announced within the next 2 years. I agree. I think it'll be announced within the next 2 years maybe at the earliest. I'm going to say at the earliest. I don't know if it'll be announced at State of Play. If it is, fucking awesome. Great. I will be there day one. Instant pre-order, okay? But I don't see that happening. Is it possible? Sure. Is it likely? No. I think that people are looking at the wrong. They're looking at it from the wrong angle here. They're looking at it from like Marathon killed this, Marathon killed that, like, or this is what they should have done. This is what they should have done instead. They didn't do that. So how do we move forward? And what can we do to not dive into doom and gloom? It's Cab says Truth Nuke. Hi, welcome to the stream. Happy to have you. Thank you for using my meme. I'm glad you like literally 3 hours of posting that, and not only did you understand what the purpose of that I was saying with that meme, you used it in your clip. Very fucking funny. I really appreciate that. That was really cool. Anyway, my point is that two cakes. I want Destiny to be. It's the guy who took the meme. It is, Gee. It is. I want Destiny. I want to come back and have a fresh start. Especially after I had my 10-year story closed. I've been here for 12 years. I've been here since day fucking one, basically. Alpha, I wasn't there, but open beta, August 2014, I was there. Day one launch, I was there, Destiny 1. And I've been there since. And all I want is for Destiny to succeed alongside Marathon. I do not want either of the games to kill either of themselves. I need the resources that were taken from Destiny to work on Marathon to be plugged in for Destiny, so add new resources to it, and then continue working on Marathon. Is Sony gonna do that? Fuck if I know! I'm just a guy! I don't fucking know shit! I'm just a fucking autistic rambler who tweets, who I get called a content creator. I use that term very loosely, but it's an honor if you call me that. I appreciate it very much. And I don't subscribe to the doom and gloom. I just don't. I think that that's the wrong way. I think a lot of people also... The news is fresh. Emotions are raw. We are very, like, we are reacting. We're not being proactive here. It's Caleb says, been playing the game since December 2014 when I was in the 6th grade. It has literally been my life, and Edge of Fate should have been D3 launched via 100%. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I feel like I've kind of rambled about that.